We are back at 8:09. When Robin Williams died in 2014, the world was shocked and many jumped to early conclusions. Yet few had any idea about the real circumstances surrounding his tragic death.
Now, a new documentary reveals the truth about the heroic battle Robin Williams and his wife Susan were fighting behind the scenes. We had the chance to speak with Susan Williams in an exclusive interview.
Your hair is blowing in the wind, and the window isn't even open.
The human brain is, an extraordinary 3.5-pound gland. At the moment you think you understand it, it comes out with something else.
There's your turn, hello!
Moments when I'll be on a roll, something will happen that'll fire off, and you can't help. It's like being possessed. When it works, it's great, and when it doesn't, it's painful.
Nothing got him off as much as being in front of a live audience and getting to just free float and let his brain take him where he's going and react with the audience and do 300 riffs on that.
Someone handed him an iPhone and was like...
Comedians who played with Robin Williams said it wasn't about going toe-to-toe, it was just keeping up. His mind was that fast. But the world also adored him for his heart. Wife Susan got the best of both.
This was a man who was incredibly rich and deep and versed in so much about humanity and culture, and his humor was like this secret weapon. And there were so many times when he would see someone needed a lift, and then he would just inject a little bit of humor in just the right way to make a difference.
Robin Williams has died.
The laughter ended today.
In an apparent suicide.
When news of his suicide broke, there were countless theories. Money, depression, drugs, none of them true. Seeing those kind of headlines, how did you deal with that?
That was really challenging. And, Robin and I knew there was so much more going on. Robin was right when he said to me, I just want to reboot my brain. In that moment, I promised him that we would get to the bottom of this. And I just didn't know that would be after he passed.
After years of chasing answers, Susan Williams now shares what really happened to her husband in a new documentary, Robin's Wish.
I was called in to sit down to go over the coroner's report. They sat me down and said, essentially, Robin died of diffuse Lewy body dementia. They started to talk about the neurodegeneration. He wasn't in his right mind.
The disease had infiltrated every region of Robin's brain.
It makes sense why he was experiencing what he was experiencing.
So you knew in your soul that there was something there. Describe the moment when you saw Lewy body dementia. Was that the answer, just looking you in the face?
I was relieved I had a name. Robin and I had gone through this experience together, really being chased by an invisible monster, and it was like whack-a-mole with the symptoms. I left there with the name of the disease, the thing that Robin and I had been searching for.
Lewy body dementia is a devastating illness. It's a killer. It is fast. It's progressive. This was about as devastating form of Lewy body dementia as I had ever seen. It really amazed me that Robin could walk or move at all.
All the while, Robin had no idea what was happening to him.
It was clear to me, it was clear to all of us on that set that something was going on with Robin. Robin was struggling to remember lines and to combine the right words with the performance. Robin would call me saying, is it usable? Is any of this usable? I saw his morale crumbling. I saw a guy who wasn't himself, and he thought that was unforgivable.
Doctors diagnosed Robin with Parkinson's, but he worried it was dementia or schizophrenia. As the disease progressed, lacking sleep, he was at times paranoid and delusional, losing his grasp on reality. You and Robin were told for medical reasons that you two needed to sleep in separate beds so he could get more rest. Those were doctor's orders. What did he think was going on when you two were sleeping in separate beds?
He said to me, does this mean we're separated? And that was a really shocking moment. When your best friend, your partner, your love, you realize that there's a giant chasm somewhere and you can't see where it is, but that's just not based in reality. Yeah, that was a hard moment, Hoda.
It's Susan's wish that by encouraging Robin's friends to speak out, this film will spark a dialogue about brain disease.
It no longer feels loyal to be silent about it, but maybe more loyal to share without shame, without secrecy.
What did you lose that day?
The greatest love I've ever known, my best friend, my partner, you know?
But I just know that he finally one day said, I'm not going to go where this is taking me. But he's just so joyous, and there would have been no joy in his life. No, he wasn't ready to go. He wasn't ready to go at all. And he stuck around longer than he felt like it. I mean, I just know him because he wasn't ready to say goodbye to Susan or to life.
If you want to see the face of love, just watch Susan and Robin dance. And at its core, Robin's wish is a love story, the tale of a heartbroken wife continuing her husband's lifelong dream. She does that by raising awareness about brain disease.
I asked him, when we get to the end of our lives and we're looking back, what is it we want to have done without missing a beat? He said, I want to help people be less afraid. I thought it was beautiful, and I said, honey, you're already doing that. That's what you do. And that is pretty great, you know?
The thing that matters are others. Way beyond yourself. Self goes away. Ego, bye-bye. Realize there are a lot of amazing people out there to be grateful for. And a loving God. And that's what life is about.
I thought that Susan was so brave in talking about this, and she finally have found, Willie, the diagnosis was like the Rosetta Stone. She was like, now it makes sense, like the world snapped into focus. Now she understood what had happened to her husband.
Yeah, I guess she felt the invisible monster, this thing that had taken over their lives, and they didn't know what it was. But you think of him as so vibrant and energetic, and even just seeing those brief clips of him in all those great movies, it's hard to reconcile that with a man who was so lost at the end and was in so much pain.
Well, the doctors were saying because he had this incredible brain with so many pathways in it, it was sort of how the disease could hide itself. For like regular people like us, it would have been apparent earlier on, like that doctor said, maybe even walking and talking would not have been possible. But people thought when he died, like, oh, it was the depression of a comedian, it was all these things, and Susan wanted everyone to know that this is what it was. This was the cause. And again, at the core of it, it's just a love story. And she was telling me a story about how they met. I asked her, I said, how'd you meet? She said, we were at an Apple store. She said, I'm standing outside, and I'm like, is that Robin Williams? She said he had camo pants on. So she went over to him and said, oh, I like those camo pants. And he said, well, then they're perfect because you like them. And she said, in that moment, that's how they started. And they dated, they fell in love, and now she's spending her life, kind of just working toward this goal that she's been fighting for.
It's also a good reminder that we see this public version of all these people we know and love, and they seem so happy and their lives are so good. And man, there's often something else going on.
Yeah, and Susan, Robin's widow, is now the vice chair of the board of the American Brain Foundation, and that's where she continues her mission to create opportunities for better diagnosis and treatment of Lewy body dementia. And that, of course, cannot be diagnosed till after you pass. There's more of our one-on-one conversation coming up a little later this morning on Hoda and Jenna, but it was really our privilege to speak with her.
Good for her. That was beautiful. Well done, Hoda. Time now for another quick check of the weather with Dylan. Hey, Dylan.